Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss about control and coordination from chapter 7 class 10 CBSE syllabus. Children, let us discuss in detail about nerve system. The nerve system is composed of specialized tissues called nerve tissue. These nerve cells or neurons is the functional unit of nerve system. The nerve system is the major controlling, regulating and communicating system in the body. It is the center of all mental activity including thought, learning and memory. Together with the endocrine system, the nerve system is responsible for regulating and maintaining homeostasis. Through its receptors, the nerve system keeps us in touch with the environment, both external and internal. Neuroscientists study these and other nerve system functions in both health and diseased states. Studying and understanding the nerve system is important because it affects so many areas of human health and well-being. Children, now let us discuss what does the nerve system do. The nerve system plays a role in nearly every aspect of our health and well-being. It guides everyday activities such as waking up, automatic activities such as breathing and complex process such as thinking, reading, remembering and feeling emotions. Children, nerve system consists of brain, spinal network and a huge networks of nerves. Let us see what nerve system controls. The nerve system controls brain growth and development, sensations like touch or hearing, perceptions like the mental process of interpreting sensory informations, thoughts and emotions, learning and memory, movement balance and coordination, sleep, healing and rehabilitation, stress and body's response to stress, aging, breathing and heartbeat, body temperature, hunger, thirst and digestion, puberty, reproductive health and fertility. Like other systems in the body, the nerve system is composed of organs, principally the brain, spinal cord, nerves, and ganglia. This is in turn consists of various tissues including nerve, blood, and connective tissue. Together, these carry out the complex activities of nerve system. The various activities of the nerve system can be grouped together as three general overlapping functions, that is sensory, integrative, motor. Millions of sensory receptors detect changes called stimuli which occurs inside and outside the body. They monitor such things as temperature, light, and sound from the external environment. Inside the body, the internal environment receptors detect variations in pressure, HP, carbon dioxide concentrations, and the levels of various electrolytes. All of this gathered information is called sensory input. Children, let us see what is sensory input. Sensory input is converted into electrical signals called nerve impulses that are transmitted to the brain. They are the signals are brought together to create sensations, to produce thoughts or to add to memory. Decisions are made each moment based on the sensory input. This is integration. Based on the sensory input and integration, the nerve system responds by sending signals to muscles, causing them to contract or to gland, causing them to produce secretions. Muscles and glands are called effectors because they are cause and effect in response to directions from the nerve system. This is the motor output or motor function. Children, nerve system of all animals is made up of specialized cells called nerve cells or neurons. These specialized cells are responsible for responding to stimuli and then coordinating the body's action. This is why nerve cells are called the structural and functional unit of nerve system. A neuron is a structural and functional unit of a nerve system, and a neuron consists of the following parts. Children, let us discuss the structure of neuron. Neurons are the structural unit of nerve system. A neuron is normally an elongated and branched cell. It has three parts: cell body or cyton, dendrites and axon. Children, let us discuss about cell body or cyton. The cell body or cyton is somewhat star-shaped with many hair-like structures protruding out of the margin. The cell body is like a normal cell where there is a central nucleus that is surrounded by dense cytoplasm. The nucleus is surrounded by Nissel's granules, which are rough endoplasmic reticulum which help in protein synthesis. Other than Nissel's granules, it is also consists of other cells like Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, etc. Children, let us discuss about dendrites. These hair-like structures are called dendrites. These are numerous short, branched cytoplasmic processes that protect out of the cell body. They act as a receiver of impulses and then transmit them to cyton. Dendrite receives the nerve impulses. Children, now let us discuss about axon. This is the tail of neuron. It ends in several hair-like structures called axon terminals. The axon terminals relay nerve impulses. It is a signal thin long fiber that arises from the cyton. It has a thin layer of cytoplasm and branched at the end called the axon terminal. It is responsible to transmit impulses from the cell body to the next neuron. Some nerve fibers are connected by myelin sheet made up of facts. However, myelin sheets are not continuous. There are gaps called nodes of Rangiver between each sheet. Some other nerve fibers lack these myelin sheets. Children, let us discuss about what is myelin sheet. Myelin sheet is an insulator cover around the axon. This is called myelin sheet. The myelin sheet insulates the axon against nerve impulses from the surroundings. Children, now let us discuss about different types of neurons. First, sensory neurons. These neurons receive signals from a sense organ. A sense neuron is a nerve cell that detects and transmits sensory information from the body to the brain. Sensory neurons are responsible for our sense of touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing. Children, let us see how sensory organs can work. Receive stimuli. Sensory neurons receive stimuli from sense organs such as the skin or internal organs. Transmit signals. Sensory neurons send signals to the central nerve system about the stimuli, then we receive. Trigger response. The brain processes the signals and triggers appropriate behavioral responses. Children, now let us discuss the types of sensory neuron. One is thermoreceptors, detect heat, and second one is mechanoreceptors, detect pressure, touch and the body, and third one is nociceptors, detect the pain, and photoreceptors detect light, and chemoreceptors detect taste and smell. Children, now let us discuss the disease of sensory neurons. The sensory neuron disease can be genetic, idiopathic, acquired, subaccute, or chronic. SND means sensory neuron disease can be associated with vitamin deficiency or intoxication, neurotoxic drugs, system immune mediated disease, and life-threatening disease like cancers. Children, now let us discuss the another type of neuron, that is motor neuron. These neurons send signals to a muscle or a gland. Motor neurons are nerve cells that transmit signals from the brain and spinal cord to muscles, glands, and organs. They are responsible for controlling voluntary and involuntary muscle movements. Children, now let us see what are the types of motor neurons. Upper motor neurons originate in the cerebral cortex and travel to the spinal cord or brainstem. Next one is lower motor neurons originate in the spinal cord and travels to muscles and glands. Children, now let us see how motor neurons work. The brain sends a message to a muscle to move, and the message travels through the motor neurons. The motor neurons bind to receptors on the muscle. Sodium ions flow into the muscles, causing depolarization. Calcium ions are released, causing the muscle to contact. Children, now let us discuss the disease of motor neuron. The motor neuron disease (MND) is a condition that occurs when motor neurons gradually stop working. Symptoms are including for motor neuron diseases as follows, like muscle weakness, muscle cramps and twists, rigid speech, difficulty swallowing, weight loss, gloominess, shortness of breath, inappropriate to emotional response. There is no cure for MND, but treatments can be helped to reduce its impacts on a person's life. Children, let us discuss another type of neuron, that is association or relay neuron. These neurons relay the signals between sensory neurons and motor neuron. Association neurons are known as interneurons, are nerve cells that connect sensory and motor neurons. They are the most common type of neuron in the body and are found in the brain and spinal cord. Children, let us discuss the functions of association neuron. The function of association neuron is integrate information, and the association neuron receives signals from the sensory neurons and relay them to motor neurons. Children, let's see what regulate motor activity. This association neurons helps control how motor neurons respond to sensory information, and let us see the enable of reflexes. The association neurons are involved in reflexes, which are involuntary response to stimuli. The association neurons release neurotransmitters that inhibit other neurons from firing. Children, let us discuss the types of association neurons. First one is local interneurons. These local interneurons are connected to neighboring nerves to relay small amounts of information. Second one is relay interneurons. These relay interneurons have a long axons that allow them to connect to neurons across larger areas of the body and the brain. And the other names of association neurons are connector neurons, internucleal neurons, and intermediate neurons. Children, let us discuss about synapse. The point contact between the terminal branches of axon of one neuron with the dendrite of another neuron is called synapse. The synapse is a small gap between two adjacent neurons. It is the functional junction or point of contact between the axon of a neuron and the dendrites of a neuron, or between the neuron and other cells. In between the axon and dendrite or axon and other cell, there is a fine gap called the synaptic cleft. The synaptic cleft helps in the transfer of information in the form of neurotransmitters like acetylcholine. The electrical impulses travel to the end of the axon terminal and stimulates the release of neurotransmitters into the synaptic cleft that then reaches the receptor region of the other neuron or cell. Children, let us see what is neuromuscular junction. NMJ. NMJ means neuromuscular junction is a point where a muscle fiber comes in contact with a motor neuron carrying nerve impulses from the control nerve system. Children, let us see the transmission of nerve impulses. The nerve impulses transfer in the following manner from one neuron to the next. The nerve impulses first they transfer from dendrites to cell body to axon to nerve ending at the tip of axon, and then synapse to dendrite of next neuron. The chemical released from axon tip of one neuron across the synapse or neuromuscular junction to reach the next cell. Children, now let us discuss the reflex action. A reflex action is a quick involuntary action is response to an external or internal stimulus, generally without involvement of the brain. Example, a tap on the knee results in the spontaneous withdrawal, that is knee jerk. Similarly, when we touch a hot object, we spontaneously withdraw our hand. Children, let us discuss about reflex arc. The pathway taken by nerve impulses in a reflex action is called reflex arc. The flow chart looks like this. From spinal cord to sensory nerves and motor nerves. From there, sensory nerves goes into receptor organ like skin, example stimulus like heat, and when it comes to motor nerves, it goes to effector nerve like muscles, response, example withdraw of our hand. Children, let us see what is voluntary means. It means under the control of a person, example is writing. Involuntary means it is not under the control of a person, example of heartbeat. Children, now let us discuss the mechanism of reflex action. A reflex mechanism involves a receptor organ, an effector organ, and some type of communication network. When a sensory receptor is stimulated, signals pass from it along a sensory neuron to the spinal cord. The message travels out of the spinal cord along a motor neuron to the effector neuron, which shows the response, such as a pathway is called a reflex arc. In most cases, however, the basic physiological mechanism behind a reflex is more complicated than a reflex arch theory would suggest. An additional nerve cells capable of communicating with other parts of the body beyond the receptors and effectors are present in the reflex circuits. Children, now let us discuss the skeletal structure of nerve system. The human nerve system mainly divided into three parts, that is central nerve system, peripheral nerve system and automatic nerve system. Then comes to the central nerve system. Again, the parts are involved in brain and spinal cord. Again, the main parts of the brain comes under forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Then forebrain comes under divided into two parts, that is cerebrum and olfactory lobes, and hindbrain again divided into three parts, cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Then again cerebrum divided into frontal lobe, temporal lobe, partial lobe and occipital lobe. Then come to peripheral nerve system, which is also called PNS. This PNS divided into cranial nerves 12 pairs and spinal nerves 13 pairs. Then comes to automatic nerve system ANS. This ANS nerve system again divided into two parts. One is sympathetic nerve system, the second one is parasympathetic nerve system. Thank you.